I have a theory that rain is just about the most cinematic thing there is. Maybe it's what it adds to the visual timbre, the fog and spray and muted colour palettes. Maybe it's the traditional sense of melancholy and forlornness associated with it, how it limits human activity and can serve as a metaphor for the adversity the characters face. Maybe it's the natural beauty of the planet's ecosystem, or maybe it's because I wet my pants in grade 2 and was able to hide it due to getting soaked in a sudden storm. For whatever reason, scenes set in the rain just tend to do it for me. So it came to me as no surprise that Rain Town, a 2011 graduate short film by Hiroyasu Ishida, did not disappoint me. The plot of the short is that there's rain in a town and there's also a girl on a robot thing. That's it, there's the gun done, go home, go piss off. Okay, there are definitely other elements to the story, mainly with the relationship between the main characters, as well as the hinted backstory of the town being deserted. And if you really squint, there is a nice basic tale about frailty, abandonment, and rediscovery. For the most part, however, the premise is just an excuse to create these images and evoke a mood of a naive outsider exploring some long-lost place and wondering about all the forgotten memories tied to it. Nothing is really said about what exactly caused the town to be caught in perpetual rainfall, what involvement the robots had, whether what happened was an isolated incident or part of some wider apocalypse. In fact, nothing is said at all, as the whole piece is without dialogue. Everything is left up to speculation, which I know is something that can certainly be annoying to a lot of people if they feel that word is being used as a cop-out to an actual explanation. Given the fact there is only 10 minutes to work with, however, I'm more than happy to just let my imagination do most of the legwork on any sort of lore and just soak myself in these images. That pun was not intended, but I'll take it. Considering exactly how much of an emphasis the short puts on mood, a lot of it tends to read like a checklist of how to make my ideal film. Let's see here, you've got rain, ruins of some sort, story told through vision and sound, huge wide shots that use a lot of negative space, subdued color palette, cute sense of humor mixed with melancholy and decay, probably no proper meaning or purpose, so I can pretend it's interpretive cinema and brag about it on my shitty YouTube channel. Easily, my favorite element would be the visuals, where everything is very simple and clear, yet loaded with lots of detail. For example, the designs of the characters are very geometric and basic, yet very impressive from a character animation perspective. All the characters have either lines or small dots for eyes that barely change shape, and no one has a visible mouth. Despite this lack of facial expression, however, each of the characters is full of personality and dynamic emotions, all of which are embedded into their movements and the framing of the shots. Actions are very small and subtle too, like the hesitant curiosity of her running, or the gangly and rusty gestures of the robot. It's all the more impressive considering just how wide most of these shots really are, yet their motions are still clearly communicated despite their tiny size in the frame. A tiny spark of life contrasted against a dead town. This is something told through its colour as well. If not for the yellow of her raincoat or the rusted brown of his body, most of the shots would be monochromatic, or at the very least near monochromatic. And even those with a bit more vibrance, such as the flashbacks to the past, still have a very muted complementary colour scheme. There's such a great amount of visual depth to the shots, everything looks like a proper space due to solid perspective, which is especially tricky considering just how many reflective surfaces there are throughout. And it also uses a couple little tricks like depth of field that usually bug me in animation, but does it here with enough thought and complexity that it makes it work nearly completely. There is even a 3D dolly shot that actually looks fantastic, largely due to the smart geometry and the texture work being the same as the regular backgrounds. The accompanying audio to the visuals works well for what the piece is, but isn't particularly notable. I'll give you 5 seconds to guess what the main instrument in the score is. It's slow solo piano pieces. Time's up, too late, haha! While something with a bit more flavor to it would have been nice, thankfully it's low-key enough that it doesn't bug me as much as it does in some other, lesser shorts. Despite this short being a clear favourite of mine, I don't have all that much more to say on it, because honestly there isn't that much to it. In fact, I worried a little bit about whether it was worth the payoff of creating a whole entire video on it, especially considering, I've been going for a little while. But the short left an impression that just sat with me, and I think it's a great example of how minimalism doesn't necessarily mean lacking in detail. That I was able to be invested as I was in a yellow blob and a scrap heap of cylinders means that I think it's something worthy of celebrating. It's pure craft, with not a whole lot of substance, but everything it does well, and everything it does personally appeals to me very much. As a graduate film, the only really important element would have been the construction of the vision and sound, something which it is great at, but the fact that the visuals help service a story, even if it's only paper thin, help it a long way to feeling like a proper short. There's just some good vibes, and I hope I explained enough of what makes those vibes worthwhile to you instead of just throwing it around like some buzzword. Most of Ishida's other shorts are worth checking out as well, with all being pretty varied in art and tone too, and his skill at constructing mood makes me hope he gets the chance to direct a more long-form project in the future. If you had the 5 minutes to watch this silly little video, then you might have another 10 spare to go watch Raintown. It's in the description if you want. You can watch it if you want. I mean, you don't have to. Maybe you don't have time to spare. I mean, well, your dad. I mean, what, you want me to tell you what to do? You know, you think I'm doing this little shitty joke around because I don't have it in the video? Well, then you fucking right, pal!